Good morning, Smile Mentor community. We really appreciate you guys joining us. Matt Griffin here, the Smile Mentor. And today we're going down the appointment journey. What all is involved in today's appointment that you're going to be able to watch is between myself, Dr. Iskander and Dr. Ratana. They are both two clinicians I have a lot of respect for, ones I chose to actually have my surgery done with. And because there's times where I've had to help present materials to patients, help write materials on questions to ask, this was a great opportunity for me to ask the doctors questions and see my case as an example, starting off, looking at the CT scan, looking at why they're going to place where they're going to place. They had to do one of my implants, pterygoid, which is far back, and you're going to be able to see what that is and why they had to do it. You're going to get to see some of the technology and hear me ask some very pointed questions. So hope you guys enjoy this part of the appointment section. And if you guys are getting ready to go through this process, please take special notes of some of the questions I ask. I've included some of these in the materials we guys offer for you on the part of the website where you can download different consult questions and things to look for. But I went into some great detail. So good example of having a pad and pen handy. This will help you know some behind the scenes questions to ask that future consultation or that consultation you're going on later today. It will help you know and have a leg up. So hope that blesses you guys. For everybody that follows us and is part of the community, thank you. We love growing with you guys because there is strength in numbers. For those of you new to the Smile Mentor and kind of curious about what this even is, go to the description part of our website, and in there on the description under this video, you will be able to click that, and that will explain to you what the Smile Mentor is. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, and stay blessed.
So from what you see here, we already have this number 7, I would say, we call it. We have severe internal resorption inside the root. So this tooth is gone.
Okay.
You have also what's number 11, which is the canine. All this internal resorption, this tooth is gone.
Okay.
Huge infection. You can see it from here, and even this one will be even clearer of what you can see. The entire facial bone is gone. You have an existing implant here. Actually, it's anchoring well inside the bone, but most of the bone around it is lost, so we need to replace it anyway. So given what we have here, this is the only implant that I will be counting on this treatment, and everything else will be out. To make the full arch and to bite all the way to the last tooth, so my plan is as follows. We'll be replacing this implant existing here. I'm adding 2 implants, and this implant in here, just like it's so hard to see it on the 2-dimensional, so like you have to see it on the 3-dimensional way. So, I'm not sure if this is clear here or no. So this implant will be angled, and it will be coming behind this one. How we will do this by the surgical guide. So like there's no way to do this like just manual by eye. So the X-Nav, the machine that I will show you later, will be the one that will be controlling this angulation of the implant placement.
Okay.
The most posterior implant, I'm looking to make pterygoid implant because I want to put something strong here to give you the full bite to the back. And placing something here will not be as strong as if I go with something like 20 or 25 millimeter pterygoid implant in the back over here.
So is that zygomatic?
No, it's not zygomatic, it's called pterygoid. Zygomatic is different. Pterygoid, we count it on the very back tooth. Zygomatic is something that zygoma, it's here. So this is not really for you, it is for like when the patient completely no bone whatsoever inside the mouth. We go zygomatic. But here I'm just getting this one for more anchor of the very posterior teeth. I don't really need zygomatic in your case at all.
Why just on my left side?
Because here I already have one already built long time ago, so I'm counting on this one. So I can easily place an implant here, placing here and extend one tooth backward, I have no problem. But here, I need to go all the way to the back.
Sure.
And basically here is because we have two ways to approach this. One is that we graft all the areas and we are able to place implants in different positions. But this type of planning is trying to avoid the more invasive grafting procedure. So we place the implants with this navigation system that is going to be very precise, avoiding the anatomical structures, and we decide and we plan also the angulation of your teeth and everything prior to place the implants.
So this empty area is my sinus, right?
Yes,
the black
sir.
part's
Yes.
my sinus. So it's gonna run just almost at a 45
Which one are you going to
degree. The
30
back
degrees?
one.
Yeah.
The back one's
Yes.
going to run at almost a 45 degree angle.
Yeah, behind the
against-
distal wall of the sinus, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And why Dr. Skander, I've looked at a lot of cases with you, and we've looked at some of mine. This is again now I get to be in the chair for this procedure. What looking at the bone piece of this, which I know in this world bone is gold, right? I mean that's a fair statement. What does the bone look like as far as not only the condition it's in now, but the potential for success down the road? Because this,
I would
God
say
willing,
like high success. Like when I look to the bone here, we can even, let's go to another area. Like, for example, I'm choosing this area, for example. So if I put my pointer here, I can see with my cursor here, like the bone density you have here, right? Like you are 682. Playing with around the 300, 400s, you are in an okay shape. You are even above that. So
Okay.
bone density, I'm not concerned at all.
Okay.
You should be perfectly fine.
What about actually Dr. Ratana and I were talking about when we met each other out in San Francisco at that clinical training. He did the clinical, I was teaching for MIS on the business side. We were talking about how all on four out there is a bad term. And I was shocked because I'm going, whoa, I don't understand. And that's because out there, one of the brands on the market, one of the more famous ones, would only place 4 implants. I see we're using 1 existing and adding 5 more, correct? So this will be basically an all on 6. Where help, a big part of why we're wanting to film this is to help a patient understand if they're going in for a consultation and somebody just tries to maybe cut corners and only do 4 implants. I know there's a time, it's okay, but how would a patient know how many implants they should have on their case? And what should I be looking for here to go, 6, that's great, versus 4 versus 8? Like how do you know how many?
Let's make this clear. Okay. The decision of how many implants to be placed is for the doctor, not for the patient.
Sure.
No, because sometimes patients come like, I want 6. No, it's not a matter of how many you want. It's the decision is mine now. I see the mouth. As implantologist, I want to give you the maximum occlusion, the maximum bite that you can get, with the most security implant placement all over, right? So I see like 4 might be in a small mouth or something. I cannot stack implants next to each other because you want 6. No, it doesn't stay here. If I have like mouth like this, wide mouth, your mouth is very good distribution, bone availability. Have this luxury to put 6 and also have the luxury to immediately loading all of those because of this condition. Some patients I have to put 8 and sometimes even 9 based on what I have, because I have maybe short implants, so I have to add more and not immediately loading them. So the final decision, with all my respect, has to be to the doctor. Of course, some doctors want to cut corners. I'm with you, I understand that. But in general, we should. Like we are having this big procedure and I will not risk this procedure because I wanted to save an implant here.
Sure.
It doesn't make any sense.
Sure, but there are, after having exposure to some of the doctors, good, bad, and otherwise, I've seen out there, some, not all adhere to the same
And
deal.
by the
And
way,
there's a reason
you
why.
can have 6 and 7 and 8, but placed wrong angulation.
Sure.
Can be restored. So
Sure.
it's not by the number. It's not
Sure.
by plugging this implant over there.
Sure.
It's where to put it, how to put them, what the environment of placing them, how you design your case. It's too many things. It's not just like one piece.
And as we said at the beginning, the diagnostic part is the most important part because not every treatment is for every patient. That's why we customize the treatment for each patient. So depending on your case, we are planning, for example, in this case, you have tilted angle implants and all that is because we plan it that way based for in your situation. Okay, so that's very important that yes, sometimes you're not able to do exactly the same with other patients. So this is a customized option for each patient.
Okay, let me.
I would like to, if you don't mind,
I'll let you finish and then I'll
No,
ask.
no, because this is maybe your mouth, right? I was able to put 6 here, right? Let me get another patient.
Okay.
So, patient like this right here. I can't put 6 on the top. I just like there is no bone here to put 6. You can't do that. This is all the bone we have. On the front area, there is no bone whatsoever in the back over here. So I have to be, I'm confined by this area. And this patient, for example, I will not be able to give him all the way to the back. No bone, even in the pterygoid or something, it's not there. So that's why for this one, I have to put this 5, trying to, as much as I can, to maximize what I can give him, and at the same time give him the maximum occlusion I get. I cannot go all the way to the back like I'm doing with yours, for example. And this is 5. Don't think to put 6. I just can't. It's not by like how many you tell me to put. It's where I can put the maximum for the maximum foundation.
Was this a current, the way I'm looking at this, I'm seeing a current denture wearer, if I had to guess?
Yes.
Okay. And that is that is one of the things that I had to learn with Mom on, you know, when somebody goes to dentures, the resorption, the bone resorption that takes place, the fact that bone actually goes away is kind of news to most people. I mean, you don't really think of take all my teeth out, I slap in a denture, and then all of a sudden bone starts going away. But that was a good example of how that happens, right?
True.
And then how much, if in my case, having the implants and going this route, will that stop the bone reabsorption happening?
Yes.
Like that? Okay.
Because now the bone is under function. It's working. It's not completely removed. And the dentures, Dr. Tan even can explain this better than me, of how it, when you bite down all the time, just giving all the load.
Yes. So you may lose bone by 2 things. One is because you're not using that bone because you don't have the stimulus of the teeth or the implants. And then once you're wearing dentures, you have no teeth over there, so there's nothing holding that bone by function, you know. So you're going to start losing, and you're going to start making pressure to that bone. So it's going to be the bone reabsorption is going to be much faster, you know, wearing a denture than having your natural teeth. Of course, if you have huge infections in your teeth and all that, you're going to start losing bone because of the infections. That's a different story. But basically, wearing a denture is going to maximize the bone reabsorption. Yeah.
If a patient already has dentures, is there any window of opportunity for them to go from denture into implant supported arch, all on 4, all on 6, whatever we want to call it? They go from removable denture to now an implant supported arch like we're doing on me. When is there a window of opportunity for a current denture wearer to go, I've had it for 3 years, I've had it for 5 years, I've had it for 10 years, and still be a candidate if they wanted to go from removable to fixed?
Yes, of course. Every patient is different. Every system, every biology is different. So that's case dependent. So in some cases, patient is wearing dentures for a long time, and the bone is good, very good, okay? Some patients, they wear dentures for 30, 25 years and there's no bone at all. So there's where we need to bone graft place different implants in different angulations, zygomatic implants, I mean different options to be able to place implants. But yes, most of the cases we have the way to make it happen.
So there is hope for, because I went through this with Mom, right? I mean, Mom was one of those cases that she had for 20 plus years, had a denture, and then, is it too late? A lot of bone gone away. And so, challenging, complicated case, but able to get it done by God's grace. But, how one of the things that she spoke of, even when we interviewed her, was just she wished she knew this was around before. And so, a big reason, one of our hearts in doing this kind of educational teach and bring people along with the journey, and me be candid and let them see all of this, some of it's kind of embarrassing, but whatever. I mean, if it can give people hope and know what are their options, even if somebody has just gotten dentures because of finances, but they can save up, is there hope down the road? And I guess that's kind of what I was trying to ask, which you answered in sounding like, yeah, there's a lot of different options you can do, but from what I'm understanding, always the sooner the better on when you extract.
That's what I want to tell you. Like, the more you wait, the more bone loss we have, the more challenges down the road. I'm not saying it's not doable at this point. It's still, but it's complicated on yourself and on us. So like the earlier the better, of course.
And it's better to plan it, so maybe we can stage the treatment. For example, if you're not able to do it immediately, but the idea is to plan it since the beginning, because you already know where we're going. Yeah. So then we start moving and not making patches. It's just like you're planning, you're doing everything towards the final arch with implants. So that's the most important part, as I always say, the planning part, diagnostic part, yeah.
Let me do, since I've been around it a little bit, let me do my best job from a patient perspective, explain what's gonna happen during the surgery, and you fill in the blanks that I either got wrong or that, okay? So now we're gonna, day of surgery, I'm gonna have IV sedation, I'm gonna go to sleep, basically. Mm-hmm. And once I'm asleep, you're then going to extract any remaining teeth on the top, correct?
Right.
And then once that extraction process takes place, then you open up the flap at that moment? Is that when you make the incision to then go after the bone?
The sequence itself, sometimes it differs based like case by case thing. Sometimes you open the flap first and reduce bone, then pull the teeth. Sometimes I pull the teeth first, then open the flap and reduce bone. So the sequence and the steps, it's not every time the same. It's case by case thing.
Okay. So in my case, what do you think is going to happen after you?
I will open the flap first.
I open the flap first,
and
then do the
some bone from around the teeth,
extractions.
and then put the extraction later. Because I have a lot of deep internal resorption thing. The grabbing it will be very hard from the top, so I have to open the flap and reduce some bone before I can get to it, so it will not fracture.
Okay. So that the teeth comes out whole.
Exactly.
Okay. So then now, teeth are out. You're now going to create a flat surface.
Leveling the bone, let's say.
Leveling the bone,
Yeah.
right? So there's going to be, you're going to take away some. The nice part is, and that's one of the reasons I chose here, and not only knowing you and that your skill level, but part of it was, understanding that sometimes the material you use, you don't have to take extra bone.
Exactly.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so, again, bone is gold from everything I've learned.
Like the material we use here, it consists, we call it like sometimes hybrid, not hybrid, nano ceramic, hybrid ceramic, and hybrid zirconia. It's two things. What it needs is it's because it's like two components. The flexible bar, I would say, or the bar, the substructure and the superstructure combined, I don't need more than 8 to 9 millimeters to give me something strong and durable, like 10 millimeter at most in the heavy area. But 8 millimeter or something, space and clearance for me is enough. If we talk about the zirconia, the monolithic zirconia, if less than 14, 15 millimeters, let's say minimum, if you risk it 12 millimeter, you are in a risk here. So the material we use, the prosthesis we use, doesn't need all this bone cut or bone reduction. With the minimum, just as I told, just level the bone now. I'm fine. I don't have to cut to create this clearance for me for the prosthesis. I don't need that.
To help kind of to sum that up or explain a little bit of that, you got the teeth, you got the arch that's going to be put in there, and zirconia is just monolithic. It's one piece. It's a big, heavy, which ironically my five unit bridge is zirconia. That is one of the reasons why we're motivated to do this. But zirconia is very heavy, very one piece monolithic, whereas the material, one of the reasons we went this route is it is actually two pieces. It's a substructure or a foundational piece, and then it's the teeth or aesthetic piece of it. So the substructure piece of it, what was real impressing is it has some flex to it, and the final piece is actually chemically bonded, so it becomes almost monolithic. But the fact that the substructure, which is something I would always ask, this is something we learned with my mom when we did a consultation at some of the ones you see on TV. We went to 3 different places, and every place said their top Cadillac is zirconia, and so that's that heavy monolithic. Do you have one of the things?
It's in the other room.
It's in the other room.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't we pause for a second? Let's get a couple demonstrations. So now we're back. Dr. Scanner was gracious to give us some props to be able to discuss this. But again, we're talking about the material that the actual teeth are going to be made of. And this is something that, again, having gone through multiple consultations, not only with my mom, but even myself, and having talked with a lot of patients around this country, I understand this is something that's usually blown by and meaning not paid attention. So I asked Dr. Scanner if we had some examples of the zirconia of the substructure that we've been talking about. So right now, what are we looking at? This is zirconia.
Before telling you what I'm looking at, do you like something like this in your mouth?
Yeah. So this is a classic example. This is where I said that monolithic structure. This is all one piece, but it is very heavy. It's very durable. We actually did a stress test with this, but shoot, even when we dropped it from 40 feet, it broke when the Zircon Ultra didn't. It bounced, but
It's very brittle.
Yeah, it's durable, but it's also can shatter. Again, I'm learning that. So again, it's very heavy. I mean, very heavy, and again, it makes, especially if you got both
Cracking nice
sounds. I mean that, and yet this is what blew me away is that everybody we went to. When it came to, I'm talking the major national brands, the ones that spend all the money on the marketing efforts that you see, they said, this is the Cadillac. You gotta be kidding me. And so while I'm doing this research for my mom, number one, I'm going, no thank you. But number two, one of the journey part of, from our end on becoming an educated patient and helping educate others was the journey on understanding the different materials that are out there. So what else are we working with?
This is our zirconia.
This is your zirconia.
Yeah, this is the zirconia that you get outside. This is the hybrid zirconia.
Okay.
This is the hybrid ceramic, which is the video that we did before about the. We did by the weaker material, not by the stronger material. So
this is the original Zircon Ultra.
Yes.
Yes.
And this is the upgrade of it.
This is the upgrade of it. So now this one is a little heavier. Sounds
10% heavier.
10% heavier than this. But do you see here? We're talking about a substructure, whereas in the zirconia I pointed out before, it's all one piece. This is two pieces. This yellowish
This is the substructure
part.
This is by itself.
This is the substructure. So we talk about
Can
how.
you please try to break it?
Say again.
Try to break it.
Try to break what?
This.
This piece. Try to break it.
There. You can bring your hammer from outside to try. Do you have time, guys, today?
Come on. I want to win the award for no one's ever been able to break it. I'm just that tough.
Don't break your hand. Because
No, I get it.
Because
I
it
get
will
it.
break. So
Here comes the stick.
you already almost hurt your.
Wow. Okay, no, it's pretty strong. And again, what the whole selling point for Zirconia is how strong it is, whereas this has
Of course,
that substructure.
If we talk about the hybrid dentures in the past, of course we still cannot do this one. But for example, titanium bars are still heavy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Zirconia is still heavy.
Right.
So with this very light material, you will get the strength you need with the light and with the shock absorber built in the bar, which is very compatible to our bone. When you bite hard, you don't need something stiff like the zirconia to be hitting your bone. You have this airbags when you bite down, so it will not transfer all these forces to your jaw, but at the same time it will do the function to chew the food very well.
Right. So again, interpreting that a little bit, when I've learned a term in this process I never thought I would know, and that's called the periodontal ligament. That's basically, if you were to look up, and I encourage you guys to Google it, maybe we'll even throw on a picture of it on the video, but the periodontal ligament is the ligament that's actually around your tooth, so that it takes the impact, because when we chew and we bite, there's impact, there's just physics. So the force has to go somewhere. There has to be a transfer of force. Well, what happens is when you go through what I'm getting ready to go through on the top, we talked about, well, we're going to be extracting all the teeth. Well, that also means you're extracting all the periodontal ligaments. So now you got bone. Well, implants are titanium, right? So, well, they make some zirconia ones too, but most implants are titanium, which is metal. So now you got metal on bone. If that implant is now in there, so now if you have something as heavy as the zirconia, like I talked about, that is really a dense rock, if you will, where are you going to have that transference of force go except for in your jaw, into your bones? So every time you
Let's
bite,
say it's like no buffer.
yeah,
It's zirconia implants right away, no buffer. You don't have this this shock absorber in the middle to take this force like the periodontal ligament used to have.
yeah.
This is our new periodontal ligament, let's say. Take the shock. It's the buffer. It's the between the actual prosthesis and the implant. Right or wrong?
Completely agree.
Yeah.
I mean, forces will not dissipate; they will transfer to the other. So the weakest link will be the connection between the bone and the implant, in case that you don't have these type of buffers. Yeah.
So what would happen? Let's walk through that. So tell me, if you don't have that buffer, like we're talking about, which again, just to get back to it, the substructure on this has a buffer. So when he asked me to try to break that piece is almost like fiberglass, or where it's very strong, but it also it's got a shock absorption tendency to it. It's not just transference of force, not like steel. It's more like fiberglass that will actually take some of the impact. Agreed?
Yes.
Is that a very simplistic way to kind of put it? So now that middle piece, when I've done my research in going through all these different consultations that I've gone through, the top one that everybody talks about on the zirconia piece, now you actually have something that takes that impact, which I'm excited about. I mean, I'm 43. I hope to live a long time. I hope to never have to deal with my top again, except for good hygiene and good maintenance. That's it. Is that a viable hope for me? Right? Is that,
Yes.
I'm 43. If I get this done and I take care of it, should I have to mess with my top anymore?
You need to take care of it all the time, like you said.
I mean, the teeth and the implants are not. I mean, they're artificial. Okay, so you're not going to have cavities, but your gums are still natural gums. So you need to take care of your gums, because yes, you may have peri-implant, that's horricle disease. I mean, gum disease around your implants if you don't take care of that. So you need to take care, and you need to be very efficient with that, of course, because you're going to start having gum issues if you don't do that.
Okay.
This prosthesis gives you the chance as if you are having your teeth one more time. Take care of it now. Now you have another chance, right?
Okay.
After what happened,
Right.
whatever is the history, behind our back.
Yeah.
But now we have another set, new set. According to literature, it's almost 95 to 98% of our original teeth efficiency, right?
Okay.
So take it and take care of it. Use your rotor pick, use your brushing, take care of your gums. Now you have another chance. So
We're gonna have a specific video on the hygiene piece of this, but again, let's for the sake of argument, I do what I'm supposed to do. Can I feel comfortable that I'm not gonna have much issues, that this can last me a lifetime?
That's the idea, yes. Yes. I mean, like a car, if you don't take care, depending on what you buy and all that, you may have to fix things. But of course, the idea is that with these type of materials, they're very strong, but you have that buffer. So we're trying to manage all the different factors where you may have complications. Of course, the implants will be in the good position, the soft tissue will be managed the right way, because as I said, this is always multiple factors. We're trying to manage everything based on the planning, diagnostic and all that. So if we manage everything the right way, you won't have any issue. Now you just need to take care. If you do it, you will have it for life.
Okay. Let's say zirconia. You said that if you have that impact, it's going to go to the path of least resistance. It's going to go to the weakest point,
Yes.
right? Which we're saying the weakest point is where the implant is integrated to the bone.
Yes.
That's your weakest point of. So then, what happens if that's where your impact always goes to that implant?
Okay, so as I said, we have multiple factors. But imagine that everything is done the right way, you know, the structure is passive, everything is fitting right, okay, to your implants, but you bite very strong. So you're going to transfer that forces to your implants and you may start having remodeling, okay? So bone is dynamic. So if you bite the normal way, you know, like with your teeth and with your regular implants, single implants, your bone is going to be in constantly remodeling. You're going to eat bone, form bone, eat bone, form bone. If you overstress that bone, you're going to activate more the eating cells. So you're going to eat more bone. And you're going to start having, like this case, for example, that you have bone loss. So that's not because you have an infection sometimes, it's because you only have over stress on that part of the bone. So if you're a strong biter and you have a very strong structure, you're going to overstress the bone around all the implants, okay? So maybe your gums are perfect, you have no infection, but you will have bone changes because of the stress you're causing to that dynamic bone, okay? That's a simplified way to explain it, of course.
Sure.
And then we have multiple factors. So imagine that you have that, and then you have bad hygiene, you have bad gums, you have other factors. So we start adding factors, so it's not that predictable. That's why we need to manage and be obsessive, trying to avoid negative factors.
Okay.
Okay?
So this material will help negate and take away one of the variables.
Exactly. And the other factor, that this is our factor, is that we have a lot of complications with monolithic zirconia. Okay? The technical management of this material is very sensitive. Okay? So the complications we have with this monolithic zirconia is that it breaks in two pieces. A lot. Not 1%, a lot, okay? So we have been doing zirconia for a long time, I mean a lot, and that's why we move towards this type of new materials that every other field in medicine is moving toward these reinforced polymers because it's similar to your body, to your bone. This is the technical part. Okay, the complications we have, the rate of complications we have with the monolithic zirconia is much more higher than using these type of materials. Yes, technically for us it's much more difficult to fabricate these teeth because we need to do
those. It's harder to fabricate these teeth over the zirconia.
Yes, in the sense
it's
of the
time-wise,
exactly,
labor-wise, cost-wise,
customization,
at least 5 times more than doing the zirconia.
Yeah. Designing how we do parts. Okay, so it's technically it's more difficult.
Right.
Okay, but of course it's much better for you. Yeah.
So when a patient is going on their journey to do a consultation,
Yes.
when it comes to the material, if I was to give them a couple questions they should ask at that consultation, number one, what is the material?
Yes.
Right, basically. So they're either probably going to be offered a hybrid or a zirconia option most of the time. That's what we've seen out
Or
there,
something
correct?
worse than both. Like, because some other places actually deliver material, we call it PMMA,
Plastic.
plastic, as a final prosthesis.
You mean, okay, so that's their final delivery versus that just being a try-in for a little while.
We don't even like, we use PMA in our work as a temporary or for just to try and.
Right.
Some other places can actually deliver this for the patient as a final.
And two things. One, to clarify, I'm not saying zirconia is bad because we use it. Actually, this ultimate option is zirconia, but we have this combination of materials, okay?
Substrate, yeah.
And then the plastic one is the one we used to, they invented these full arch cases using this type of titanium bars or metal bars with this plastic on top, okay, that we call acrylic. Now we have CAD/CAM technology to be able to make those teeth in plastic and to be able to design those plastic monolithic structures, or adding like bonding two parts, plastic with other frameworks like titanium or different type of things. And that's why, because people is moving away from the complications of monolithic zirconia, so they're looking for options. So that's one of the options, but that's the option we use for temps, for temporaries. We use that option to make temps, to do trials, to do mock-ups. So yes, we use it, and it's very good because we have the digital technology to help us with that, and that's it. But the final product should be in a higher level.
So that, I'll come back to another question, but that first question, they're sitting down at a consultation and they want to know, they want to ask, number one, what material
Yes.
is, and B, if they ask the doctor, do you have anything that has any flex or anything like that, what should alert them to this doctor doesn't know what they're talking about? Or, because again, part of my heart is to help avoid having to go through the expense, the pain, the embarrassment, the frustration over and over again. And so if we can help give an educated consumer and buyer out there the right questions to ask when they're going through that consultation, then that really helps better our field, right? I really believe that. And so I'm trying to think of any other question just on the material side of things that they should ask during the consultation.
I think the most basic one and important is what material and why. Because if your doctor is enough educated, he's going to explain you the differences between materials, he's going to explain you why he's using this material. So he's going to give you something with some background, So I think that's the most important part. Maybe it's not okay for a patient to ask very specific things, because the doctor is the one that should know those things. So the most important part is why. So the doctor should be able to explain you and to tell you all the information and to show his knowledge.
Okay.
And then you make decisions based on that.
Okay. Anything to add to that?
When we decided to do this one, we are telling you why we chose this over the zirconia and others.
And it makes sense. Being on that journey with you, I would have never thought to ask until having gone on that zircon journey with you. I would have never known how important some of these things were, and that's why I say, the public doesn't know. They don't know to ask these questions, so that's why I'm just saying, trying to figure out the questions. So perfect. What and why?
Yeah.
Okay.